The Biden administration is expected to announce more military aid for Ukraine as early as this week. According to a defense official, this aid will come from the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative. That money can be used for training, equipping, and advising Ukrainian forces. The U.S. has allocated more than $6 billion to this fund as part of the $54 billion aid package approved by Congress last month. The defense official also said that a second military aid package could be announced next week through the Presidential Drawdown Authority, which allows the administration to send military aid from U.S. stocks. Joining us now, Professor of History at New York University, Ruth Ben-Ghiat. She is the author of the book Strongmen, Mussolini to the Present, certainly familiar with Vladimir Putin. Professor, great to see you this morning. Russian forces have been advancing in eastern Ukraine now for a few weeks, making slow but sadly steady progress. We're hearing from Kyiv every day. We need more weapons. We need more weapons. We need more weapons. We need more training on those weapons. What else can the U.S. and allies do right now to stem the tide of the Russian advance?
I think we're at a really a crisis point, and it's very, very important to support Ukraine and give all the weapons that it desperately needs, that President Zelensky is asking for. And the U.S. may need to give more to compensate for countries like Germany, which are delaying shipments of the kinds of heavy artillery and heavy weapons that are needed. And it's very frustrating for those of us who care about democracy, and seeing the example that was set at the beginning with sanctions and this global outpouring of economic weapons against Putin, to see this delay when it's most needed.
Yes, certainly. You just spoke about the need to defend democracy abroad. We're also seeing in these January 6th hearings the need to defend democracy at home. And so much of the case the committee is making is how former President Trump tried to overturn the will of the people, tried to ignore the basic tenets of democracy and not abide by the results of a free and fair election. Give us the important lessons. What should the American people be taking away from these hearings beyond just the mechanics of what Trump doing, but the broad strokes?
Yeah, the big picture, and it's just very fascinating, having written this book about strongmen, to see this playing out as a case study where, Trump was fundamentally had different motives and different interest in being in office than any other president, Republican or Democrat. He was really in office for the autocratic goals of amassing as much power as possible. And you see that he doesn't really listen to people. He may have listened to a drunk Giuliani because Giuliani was a loyalist and everybody was telling him the same thing. But you see this, of course, with Putin, too. They don't really listen to people. They're not really interested in input because they think they have all the answers and they're going to do what they need to do. The second is that Trump was in office to make money off of the presidency. That's very clear. And I'd remind people that the Washington Post had a very interesting investigation that for the first 3 years of his presidency, basically until COVID came, he spent 1/3 of his time not in the White House, but visiting Trump-branded properties. So promoting the Trump brand is a continuity. And indeed, the what's come out yesterday when Representative Lofgren said that the big lie was a big ripoff is that the Election Defense Fund was funneling money, including $200,000 to Trump hotel chain. So the big lie and election denial was a very efficient method of Trump raising money and fleecing his followers.
And certainly, we all know the hearings come as former President Trump considers another run in 2024. And I think democracy in great peril if he were able to push past this moment and run and successfully again. Ruth Ben-Ghiat, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Coming up on Morning Joe, we'll look at what's at stake at primary races as voters go to the polls in 5 more states today. Steve Kornacki will be at the big board. Plus, Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia joins the conversation as he campaigns to keep his seat in one of the most closely watched races of the fall. Also ahead, we'll hear from one of the 20 senators who struck a bipartisan deal on the gun safety framework, Democrat Chris Coons. And we'll have more on yesterday's January 6th committee hearing on Donald Trump's big lie and his big ripoff. A member of the House Select Committee, Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, is a guest. Morning Joe, a few moments away.